Jesse thinks Jimmy Garoppolo's restructure, pay cut, is covering up the real issue. But I don't know what the real issue is. What is it, Jesse?
I'm going to go full conspiracy theory here. No, I
I
don't
was
listen.
hoping you would. Thank you.
I don't think that it was purposeful in covering it up, but it's funny how every conversation for the last 48 hours has transitioned to Trey Lance has a short leash. The media is talking about this. We're talking about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. Not a single one of us are talking extensively about this offensive line enough.
Yeah.
Right now, they are less than 2 weeks away from week one. We don't know if McGlinchey's going to play. If McGlinchey plays, I feel a lot better about things. But if McGlinchey doesn't play, Grant, they're going to run out, most likely, a starting offensive line that has 7 starts from left guard to right tackle.
Yep.
7 combined starts, and 2 of them have 0 starts. That's what they're going to throw out there with arguably the best left tackle to ever play football, right?
And so, even if McGlinchey goes, like, what version of him are they getting? He's been hurt all offseason like Mitchell.
And how long can he go? Does he come out after the first quarter? Like, we don't know what this looks like. And so for me, it doesn't matter if it's Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, or Patrick Mahomes back there. If that's the offensive line, they may struggle mightily no matter who the quarterback is. And I think that's the real conversation, because that right there, and I purposefully didn't bring it up when you asked what can derail the Bears game in week one.
Right.
This really is the biggest thing, Grant. Like, this is the number one thing. If they can't protect the quarterback, whoever it is, it's not going to matter. Like, they could lose any game without keeping their quarterback upright. So that's the real issue at hand this season.
I completely agree. And then bringing in Blake Hance, to me, is again like, okay, so he has 8 career starts. That makes he's like a vet on this team. Move over for Blake Hance. Hold on. Like, he might be their starting right tackle week 1. You know, because it's not like Colton Kivitz is an asset. So, yeah, there's that. But I want to come back to what I was saying earlier, Debo. Like, last year, to a degree, the Bengals kind of proved you could have a terrible offensive line. But if you have a wide receiver like Jamar Chase or Debo Samuel, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick, just give him the ball. Who cares about the trenches at that point? Like, he just flips the game. So Debo can do stuff like that. And if he's super Debo, then he can sort of mitigate the problem. If he's double Debo with cheese, then the offensive line is going to be under the crosshairs because he's the cheat code that makes that not an issue. So again, Debo, you're their best player. You got to be super Debo. They're counting on you. They just gave you more guaranteed money than any 49ers player ever has gotten. Come on, man. You got to be ready to go week 1, not week 4.
I want to throw this out there, though, too, because a lot of people, and you just brought it up, but I think a lot of people are saying this as well. Well, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, that's what they point to. Well, if the 49ers offensive line isn't good, Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Okay, first of all, again, we talk about anomalies. That's one of them.
Right.
But the offensive line protection issues with the Bengals is a bit overblown, because here's what happened. Everybody goes and looks at the sacks and they say, well, look at how many sacks they gave up. Reality is, Burrow came out after the season and said a lot of those sacks on third down especially are on him, because he will purposefully hold the ball, take a sack just to see if he can make a play happen, because they're going to punt anyways. When you look at the actual pressure rate of that offensive line, it was only like 12th worst in the league. Like, it wasn't as bad as what people want to make it out to be. I'm not saying it was good, but I would put that offensive line and probably take it over this offensive line without Mike McGlinchey until they prove something. Like, I don't trust it. And here's the other thing.
Without McGlinchey, they have Trent Williams and backups. That's what you would call the offensive line. Trent Williams and backups. Which was my sort of issue with signing Trent Williams, although I don't think it's his fault that they don't have other starting caliber offensive linemen. It's bad drafting. Burford, maybe. Burford has a chance. There's Poe lurking. There's a Kell. But Aaron Banks, dude, you got to show something, man. I mean, you might be worse than Trey Sermon. You got to show something, Aaron.
Here's what sucks, though, too, Grant, because one of the things that I talk about with Trey Lance a lot is
Lance a lot.
That's funny, Lance a lot. Yeah, I just thought that. The things that I talk about with Trey Lance often is that he's in year 2, right? And so he deserves grace, 3 years grace. And it sounds like I'm not giving that grace to some of these other players that are in front of him. I am giving that grace to Banks and Burford and these guys. The problem is it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. Really, again, it comes down to a front office decision-making fault because everybody has this perception that this team is ready to win now. And if you don't protect Trey while he's trying to develop, you're probably not going to win a lot. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think all of these players deserve that grace. I just don't know how patient we can be with any of them because it is a perceived win now roster.
Yes, Dustin the Gale says, why is the national media so obsessed with saying Jimmy brought the Niners to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship? Why do their fans want to move on? I can't take it. Yeah, I mean, to me, like if you really are watching this team, they gave Jimmy 5 years. He couldn't get over the hump. They got to try something different. I mean, going back to Jimmy is like, it's insanity. It's been proven it doesn't work. You're trying again to do something you know doesn't work. Ultimately, I mean, if your goal is Super Bowls, I thought that was the Niners' goal. Unless you want to all of a sudden be the Arizona Cardinals and be like, "Hey, look at us in the playoffs." Oh, okay, it's pretty nice. I'm sorry, I thought these were the Niners.
Yeah, I'll say this, and this is not necessarily the fault of these guys, but it's impossible to watch all 32 teams close. It just is, and so. Whether it's the 49ers or any other team, if you've got content creators for those teams and you want to know what's really going on, I really suggest tapping in with them because that's all they focus on. Here's my question to anybody that thinks that Jimmy took them anywhere. If you can give me one playoff game, just one, that's all I'm asking. He's been in 6. Just give me one playoff game that he was the reason they won.
Oh my God. Easily, the NFC Championship game 2019, those 6 completions.
Right.
They were the best.
His 8 passes and 1 was almost intercepted. Just incredible.
Talk about efficiency. You want to talk about efficiency? That's all I needed. Red and gold. Thank you. Peyton Wisdom wanted to get Jesse's take on this one. Do you think Shanahan could be fired if he squanders another year of Mitch Wishnowski's prime? You know, Mitch Wishnowski's in a contract year. Big year for Mitch.
Is he really?
Yeah. Also, Robbie Gould too. Also, Tabor Pepper. The 3 of them all have to really perform this year. Otherwise,
Pepper's definitely coming back. They might.
I don't know, man. Long snapping is difficult. All of a sudden, it can go. We've seen people all over, they're great and all, but they can't do it anymore. Tabor, a lot of pressure on you.
Remember what was it? Junkin for the Giants. Remember that game in like 2002?
Like mental block all of a sudden.
Gosh, just couldn't snap.
Kyle Nelson with the Niners. All of a sudden, they got rid of him real fast. He went from being the best to being the worst immediately. So, yeah, Tabor. We're all watching you, Tabor. You think Trey Lance is under scrutiny? Tabor.
Talk about short leashes around here. Peyton, to answer your question 100%. Yeah, if you squander Mitch Wishnowski's prime, like, you're out of here.
Yeah, Mitch is already 30, I think.